I need to confess something I've kept hidden for years. For 18 months, I loved two people at the same time, and I destroyed both of them. This isn't a story about being confused or making mistakes. This is about choices, deliberate, selfish choices. And if you think you know how this story ends, you don't. Because the truth is so much messier than I ever imagined. Let me start with Emma. We met 4 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was sitting alone on the balcony, and I asked if I could join her. We talked for 3 hours straight. About everything. Our childhoods, our dreams, our fears, the kind of stupid stuff that sounds meaningful at 2 a.m. We started dating 2 weeks later. And it was easy. Everything with Emma was easy. She was organized where I was chaotic, patient where I was impulsive. She balanced me in ways I didn't know I needed. 6 months in, we moved in together, got a dog, started building this life. My parents loved her. My friends loved her. Everyone kept saying, "You found your person." And I believed them. I really did. But somewhere around year 2, things started feeling routine. We'd wake up, go to work, come home, make dinner, watch TV, go to bed, repeat. There was nothing wrong with it. It just felt predictable. I told myself that's what adult relationships look like, that the excitement fades and comfort takes over. But part of me missed feeling that spark, that rush. I should have talked to Emma about it. But I didn't. That was my first mistake. I met Jake at a work conference. I was there representing my company. He was there from a competitor. We ended up at the same networking event. And the chemistry was immediate. Undeniable. He was everything Emma wasn't. Spontaneous, adventurous, unpredictable. He made me laugh in a way I hadn't laughed in years. We exchanged numbers, started texting. Just friendly at first. But those texts became longer, more personal, more frequent. He'd send me songs he thought I'd like, random photos from his day, jokes that were just for me, and I found myself checking my phone constantly, waiting for his name to pop up. Emma noticed. She'd ask who I was texting, and I'd say just a colleague. Technically true, but also the first lie. A month after we met, Jake asked if I wanted to grab drinks when he was in town. I said yes. I told Emma I had a late meeting. That was lie number 2. Jake and I met at this rooftop bar downtown. We talked for hours. About our lives, our work, our frustrations. He told me about his recent divorce. I told him about feeling stuck. I didn't mention Emma. Not directly, but he knew I was with someone. I'd mentioned my partner in passing. As the night was ending, we're walking to the parking garage, and he stops, turns to me and says, "I really like spending time with you." And before I can respond, he kisses me. I should have pulled away. I should have said no. But I didn't. I kissed him back. And for those few seconds, everything else disappeared. Then reality hit. And I pulled away, panicking. I said, "I can't do this. I have a girlfriend." And he said, "I know. I'm sorry." I drove home in shock. My hands were shaking. My mind was racing. When I got home, Emma was already asleep. And I just stood there in the doorway, watching her, feeling like the worst person alive. I told myself that was it. One mistake. It wouldn't happen again. But I was lying to myself. Again. Jake and I kept talking. I told myself we were just friends. That the kiss was a one-time thing. But the texts got more intimate. More emotional. He'd tell me things he'd never told anyone. And I'd do the same. We'd talk until 2 a.m. Even when Emma was sleeping next to me. I'd take my phone to the bathroom. Or wait until she left for work. The secrecy became normal. Almost routine. A month later, Jake was in town again. He asked to see me. I said yes, even though I knew exactly what I was doing. This time, I didn't just kiss him. We slept together, in a hotel room, while Emma thought I was at a networking dinner. Afterwards, I felt physically sick. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. But when Jake held me and told me he was falling for me, part of me felt it too. And that's when I realized how deep I was. For the next year, I lived 2 completely separate lives. With Emma, I was the stable partner. We'd go to farmers markets, host dinner parties, talk about maybe getting engaged. With Jake, I was someone else entirely. More alive, more myself. Or at least, a version of myself I'd forgotten existed. Jake lived 3 hours away, which made it easier to hide. We'd meet halfway. Or I'd make up work trips. Emma never suspected anything. She trusted me completely. which made it so much worse. I had 2 separate email accounts, 2 different calendars. I'd rehearse my stories in the car before coming home. "How was your day?" Emma would ask, and I'd tell her about meetings that never happened, clients that didn't exist. The lies became effortless, and that terrified me, because I realized I was becoming someone I didn't recognize. But I couldn't stop. I loved them both. Emma was my home, my safety, my future. Jake was my escape, my excitement, my present, and I was too selfish to choose. There were so many moments where I almost got caught, like the time Emma surprised me at work, but I'd actually taken the day off to be with Jake. I saw her car in the parking lot and had to hide in the coffee shop across the street until she left. Or when Jake accidentally liked one of Emma's Instagram posts. She asked, "Who's Jake?" I said he was a work contact. She didn't push it, but I saw the question in her eyes. Then there was the time I mixed up their names. I was with Emma, we're watching a movie, and I said, "Jake, can you pass the—" I caught myself, changed it to babe mid-sentence. But Emma heard it. She asked, "Did you just say Jake?" I laughed it off, said she was hearing things, but she looked at me differently that night. Each close call should have been a wake-up call, but I just got better at lying. I became an expert at covering my tracks, until I couldn't anymore. Everything changed on a random Wednesday. Jake and I were at our usual meeting spot, this small restaurant halfway between our cities, and he was different. Quiet, distant. I asked what was wrong, and he put his phone on the table, showed me photos of Emma and me from her social media. "This is her, right? Your girlfriend?" I nodded. He said, "She posted about your 3-year anniversary yesterday, about how you're the love of her life, while you were texting me that you wished you could wake up next to me every morning." I had nothing to say. He leaned back and said, "I can't do this anymore. I'm in love with you. Actually in love with you. But I can't be your secret. I can't be the person you see when she's not looking. So you need to choose. Leave her, or I'm done." I asked how much time I had. He said 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks were hell. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think straight. Every night, I'd lie next to Emma, knowing I was about to destroy her life. I made lists, actual lists, pros and cons of each person. Emma, stable, kind, my best friend, integrated into my life. Everyone loved us together. Jake, exciting, passionate, made me feel alive, understood parts of me Emma didn't. But how do you quantify love? How do you measure one person against another? I asked myself, if you could only see one of them for the rest of your life, who would it be? And I couldn't answer. I thought about telling Emma everything, coming clean, letting her decide for me, but I was too much of a coward, so I did nothing. And the deadline got closer and closer. On day 13, I made my choice. I chose Emma, not because I loved her more, but because leaving her would mean blowing up my entire life. My apartment, my dog, my friend group, my family who adored her. With Jake, I'd be starting over, and I was too scared to do that. So I called him, told him I couldn't leave her. He didn't yell, didn't beg. He just said, "I knew you'd say that. I just hoped you wouldn't. And then, I hope she never finds out what you did to her, because she deserves better than both of us." He hung up, and I never heard from him again. I thought that was the end, that I'd made my choice and could move forward. I was so incredibly wrong. 3 weeks later, Emma came home early from work. I was in the bedroom, and she walked in holding her phone. Her face was completely blank, but her hands were trembling. She said, "I got a message today, from someone named Jake." My blood went cold. She turned her phone around, showed me screenshots of our texts, our plans, everything. Not the explicit stuff, but enough, more than enough. She said, "Tell me this is fake. Tell me this is some cruel joke." And I couldn't. I just stood there, silent. And that silence was my confession. She dropped her phone, sank onto the bed, started shaking. I'd never seen her cry like that, not in 3 years together. She looked up at me and asked, "How long?" I said, "A year and a half." "A year?" She screamed it. "You've been lying to me for a year?" I tried to explain that I loved her, that it was a mistake, that I chose her. And she said, "You chose me? You chose me? Like I'm some prize you get to pick after you're done playing around?" She was right. That's exactly what I'd done. Emma didn't kick me out immediately. She wanted answers. She deserved answers. For hours, she asked questions, and I answered all of them. Do you love him? Yes. Did you sleep with him? Yes. How many times? Too many to count. In our bed? No. Never in our bed. Do you still talk to him? No. It ended 3 weeks ago. Every answer was another knife. But she needed to know. She needed the whole truth, even though it was destroying her. Around 2 a.m., she finally stopped asking questions. She looked at me with these empty eyes and said, I don't know you. I thought I did, but I don't. The person I loved wouldn't do this. So who are you? I couldn't answer that, because I didn't know anymore either. She said, I need you to leave. Not forever. Just tonight. I can't look at you right now. So I packed a bag and went to a hotel. That night, lying in a hotel bed alone, I realized what I'd done. I hadn't just lost Jake. I was about to lose Emma too. And it was entirely my fault. I stayed at that hotel for a week. Emma and I texted, but barely. She needed space to process everything. Her friends knew. Her family knew. Everyone knew what I'd done. I became the villain in everyone's story. And I deserved it. When I finally went back to the apartment, Emma had already moved most of her stuff out. She'd taken the dog. The photos of us were gone. It was like she'd erased herself from my life. Or maybe I'd erased her. I'm still not sure which. We met one final time to divide our things. It was civil. Cold, but civil. I tried to apologize, to explain, but she stopped me. She said, I don't need your apology. I need you to understand something. I would have forgiven you if you'd told me. If you'd come to me months ago and said you were unhappy, if you'd been honest about your feelings, we could have worked through it. Or we would have ended things like adults. But you took that choice away from me. You let me believe in a lie for a year and a half. That's what I can't forgive. And she was absolutely right. I never told you what Jake's message to Emma actually said. I found out later, after everything fell apart. He didn't send explicit texts. He didn't send photos. He just sent one message. Hi Emma. You don't know me, but I need you to know something. Your partner has been seeing me for over a year. I'm not sending this to hurt you or to break you up. I'm sending this because you deserve to know the truth. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not someone who hides you while living a double life. I'm sorry I was part of this. You deserve so much better. When Emma showed me, I asked her, why did he tell you? She said, because he loved you enough to do the right thing, something you were never brave enough to do. And she was right. Jake exposed everything not out of spite, but because he genuinely believed Emma deserved the truth. While I was content to keep lying indefinitely, that's when I realized something. Jake wasn't the villain of this story. Neither was Emma. I was. 6 months after everything imploded, Jake messaged me. Just once. I was shocked because after he exposed everything, I assumed I'd never hear from him again. His message said, I've been thinking about you. Not romantically. I just wanted you to know I don't hate you. What we did was wrong, but I played my part in it. I knew you were with someone, and I pursued you anyway. I told myself it was different, that we had something real, but that doesn't change the fact that we both hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you've learned from this. I know I have. I stared at that message for an hour before responding. I thanked him for his honesty, told him I was sorry for dragging him into my mess, asked how he was doing. He said he'd started therapy, that he'd realized he had a pattern of pursuing unavailable people because it felt safer than risking real vulnerability, that our whole relationship was him avoiding something real, and I admitted I'd been doing the same thing, using him as an escape from my real life instead of addressing what was actually wrong. We talked for a few hours that night, not about getting back together, just about what we'd learned. It was the most honest conversation we'd ever had, and it only happened after everything was already destroyed. You know what the hardest part of all this was? It wasn't losing Emma, even though that nearly broke me. It wasn't the guilt, even though I carried it like a weight on my chest every single day. The hardest part was realizing I never actually loved either of them the way they deserved to be loved. I loved what they gave me. Emma gave me stability and comfort. Jake gave me excitement and passion. But I never loved them as whole people. I loved what they provided for me. Real love means choosing someone even when it's inconvenient, even when someone else seems more exciting, even when the routine feels boring. Real love means being honest, even when the truth is painful. I didn't do any of that. I just took what I wanted from both of them and convinced myself it was love. I spent a year in therapy, unpacking all of this, learning why I did what I did, understanding my patterns. And the truth I discovered was uncomfortable. I didn't have a strong sense of self. I didn't know who I was outside of a relationship. So I created two different versions of myself, one for each of them, and I lived in both simultaneously because I was too afraid to figure out who I really was. The double life wasn't about loving two people. It was about avoiding myself. I haven't spoken to Emma in almost 2 years. I've seen her social media though. She's with someone new. They look happy. Really happy. They travel together, laugh together, and she posts about him the way she used to post about me. Except now it's real. I'm genuinely happy for her, even though it hurts to see what I lost. She deserves someone who chooses her every single day without hesitation. Someone who doesn't need to escape from their life with her. Jake and I still talk occasionally. Maybe once every few months. It's friendly but distant. We both acknowledge what happened. We both own our parts in it. There's no anger anymore. Just acceptance. He told me recently that he's seeing someone. Someone who's actually available. Someone he can build something real with. And he said, I finally understand what it means to be with someone where you don't have to hide or escape. It's just easy. The way it's supposed to be. I was happy for him too. And a little jealous, if I'm being honest. If you're watching this and you're in a similar situation, if you're living a double life or emotionally cheating or lying to someone you claim to love, please listen to me. Stop. Right now. Before you cause irreparable damage. I know you think your situation is different, that you really do love both people, that you're stuck, that you don't know how to choose. I thought all those things too. But here's the truth. If you truly love someone, you wouldn't need someone else. You might be attracted to someone else. That's human. But actively pursuing it, that's a choice that says everything about where your real feelings are. And if you're so unhappy in your current relationship that you need to seek fulfillment elsewhere, then be honest about that. End it. Don't string someone along while you explore other options. That's not love. That's selfishness disguised as confusion. The excuses I made to myself were endless. I don't want to hurt them. I'm waiting for the right time. It's complicated, but the truth was simpler. I was a coward. I was too scared to make a real choice, so I made everyone suffer instead. And here's what I lost because of that cowardice. I lost Emma, who was the best partner I ever had. I lost Jake, who showed me parts of myself I'd forgotten. But most importantly, I lost myself. I lost my integrity, my self-respect, my ability to look at myself in the mirror without feeling disgust. That's the real cost of living a double life. Not just losing the people you claim to love. It's losing yourself in the process. The question everyone asks me is, do you regret it? If you could go back, would you do it differently? And the honest answer is complicated. Do I regret hurting Emma? Absolutely. Every single day. Do I regret meeting Jake? That's harder to answer. Because even though our relationship was built on lies and secrecy, he taught me things about myself I needed to learn. But if I could go back, knowing what I know now, I would have been honest with Emma the moment I realized I was unhappy. I would have told her I was feeling disconnected, that I missed feeling excited in our relationship, that I needed to work on myself. Maybe we would have broken up. Maybe we would have worked through it. But at least it would have been honest. At least she would have had the choice. Instead, I took her choice away. I let her live in a false reality for 18 months while I pursued my own selfish desires. And that's what I regret most. Not the affair itself, but the prolonged deception, the calculated lying, the way I stole 1.5 years of her life that she could have spent finding someone who truly cherished her. That's time she'll never get back. And it's my fault. What nobody talks about is how far the damage spreads. It wasn't just Emma and Jake and me, it was everyone around us. Emma's best friend Hannah messaged me after everything came out. She said, "You know what you did? You didn't just break Emma's heart. You broke her ability to trust. She questions everything now. Every time she meets someone new, she wonders what they're hiding. You didn't just hurt her, you changed her." That message haunted me for months, because she was right. I didn't just cause temporary pain, I fundamentally altered how Emma views relationships and trust and love. My own friends were divided. Some supported me, said everyone makes mistakes. Others cut me off completely. My closest friend told me, "I can't support what you did. If you could lie to Emma for that long, how do I know you haven't lied to me?" And I couldn't answer that, because he was right to question it. My family was disappointed. My mom cried when I told her. Not because Emma was gone, but because of who I'd become. She said, "I didn't raise you to treat people this way. I don't recognize the person you've become." Those words cut deeper than anything else. Because she was seeing what I'd been avoiding. I'd become someone I never wanted to be. The ripple effects extended to future relationships too. How do you date someone new when you have to eventually tell them this story? When do you reveal that you once lived a double life? On the first date? The third? After you're already serious? I tried dating about a year after everything imploded. Met someone I really liked. We'd been seeing each other for a few weeks when she asked about my last relationship. I told her the truth. The whole truth. She thanked me for being honest, finished her drink, and I never heard from her again. And I don't blame her. Who wants to be with someone capable of that level of deception? Even if I've changed, even if I've done the work, the fact remains, I did it once. What's to stop me from doing it again? There was a specific moment, about 8 months after everything fell apart, when the full weight of what I'd done finally hit me. I was at a coffee shop, the same one where Jake and I first met. I wasn't there intentionally, it was just the closest one to where I was. But sitting there, I saw a couple at the table where Jake and I used to sit. They were laughing, holding hands, completely absorbed in each other, and I watched them. This young couple, so in love, so trusting, and I wondered if one of them was lying, if one of them had a secret life, if one of them was texting someone else while sitting across from their partner. And then it hit me. I used to be that couple. Emma and I used to be those people who seemed perfect from the outside. People probably looked at us and thought, goals. Meanwhile, I was systematically destroying everything we'd built. That's when I finally understood what I'd done. Not just intellectually, but in my gut. I'd taken something pure and real and destroyed it for something temporary and hollow. And I couldn't ever get it back. I sat in that coffee shop and cried. Really cried. For the first time since it all happened. Not for myself, but for Emma. For the version of her that trusted me completely. For the future we'd planned that I'd incinerated. For the person she was before I broke her. That was the moment I truly understood the weight of my actions. Not when Emma cried. Not when Jake left. But when I saw what I'd destroyed from the outside. If someone had pulled me aside after I kissed Jake that first time. If someone had looked me in the eye and said what I'm about to tell you, maybe things would have been different. Here's what I wish someone had told me. The excitement you feel with the new person isn't love. It's novelty. It's the thrill of something new. The rush of being wanted. The escape from routine. But that feeling, it's temporary. It always fades. Always. What you have with your long-term partner might feel boring in comparison. But boring isn't bad. Boring means safe. It means comfortable. It means you've built something real. And real is hard to find. If you're unhappy in your relationship, there are only two honest options. Fix it or end it. There is no third option where you get to have both while lying to everyone involved. That's not an option. That's destruction with extra steps. And if you think you can juggle two relationships without hurting anyone, you're lying to yourself. Someone always gets hurt. Usually everyone. Including you. The person you become when you're living a double life? That's not some temporary mask you put on. That's who you actually are in those moments. The lying, the calculating, the manipulation, that becomes part of you. And even after you stop, even after you confess and apologize and do the work, you have to live with knowing you were capable of that. That's the real cost. Not the relationships you lose, but the knowledge that you're capable of sustained, calculated deception against people you claim to love. That doesn't just go away because you got caught or because you finally chose or because you went to therapy. You have to carry that knowledge forever. I spent over a year in therapy trying to understand why I did what I did. And my therapist asked me questions I'd never asked myself. What were you getting from each relationship that you couldn't get from one? The answer: Emma gave me stability, and Emma gave me stability and a sense of home. Jake gave me excitement and the feeling of being desired. But here's what my therapist pointed out. I was looking for external people to fill internal voids. Do you think you're afraid of intimacy? At first, I said no. But the more we talked, the more I realized, yes, absolutely. Real intimacy means being vulnerable, showing all of yourself, even the ugly parts. But when you're with two people, you get to compartmentalize. You show Emma one version of yourself, Jake another. Neither of them gets the full picture, which means neither of them can fully reject you. What do you think you deserve? That question broke me, because the truth was, I didn't think I deserved real love. So I sabotaged it before it could fully happen. I kept one foot out the door with both relationships because I was convinced that eventually they'd both leave anyway. So I left first. Or I hedged my bets. Or I made sure I'd have someone else when it inevitably fell apart. My therapist called it a self-fulfilling prophecy. I was so afraid of being abandoned that I behaved in ways that guaranteed I would be. The double life was my subconscious way of protecting myself from real vulnerability. Understanding all of this didn't make it okay. It didn't undo the damage. But it helped me see the patterns, helped me understand that I needed to work on myself before I could ever be a good partner to anyone else. That's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Not dating, not looking for someone new, just working on becoming someone who's capable of real, honest love. Someone who doesn't need 2 people to feel whole. Sometimes I imagine what I'd say if I could talk to Emma and Jake now. Not to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve that. Just to tell them what I've learned. To Emma, I'd say, you were right about everything. I took the easy way out at every turn. I prioritized my comfort over your truth, and you deserved so much better than what I gave you. I hope you found it. I hope whoever you're with now chooses you every single day without hesitation, without doubt, without needing someone on the side to make them feel alive. That's what you always deserved. I'd thank her for the 3 years we had before I ruined everything, for teaching me what stability and partnership could look like, for loving me in a way I didn't appreciate until it was gone. And I'd apologize for making her doubt herself, because it was never about her not being enough. It was always about me being broken. To Jake, I'd say, you were right to walk away when you did. You were right to give me an ultimatum. And you were right to tell Emma the truth. That was the bravest thing anyone did in this whole mess. While I was paralyzed by cowardice, you did the hard thing. You told the truth even though it meant losing me. That's real love. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you that in return. I'd thank him for showing me parts of myself I'd forgotten, for reminding me what passion and excitement could feel like. But I'd also apologize for using him as an escape instead of a real partner. He deserved someone who could build a real life with him, not someone who only showed up when their real life got boring. But I can't talk to either of them. That chapter is closed. And maybe that's how it should be. Some damage is permanent. Some relationships can't be salvaged. Sometimes the best thing you can do is let people move on without you. There are questions I still don't have answers to. Even after all this time. Even after all the therapy. Did I ever really love either of them? Or was I just in love with how they made me feel? I still don't know. I felt something real with both of them. But was it love? Or was it need? Attachment? Fear of being alone? Would I have eventually chosen one of them if Jake hadn't given me an ultimatum? I'd like to think yes. But honestly, I might have kept going indefinitely. The lies had become so easy. The compartmentalization so natural. I might have married Emma while still seeing Jake on the side. That's a horrifying thought, but it might be true. If Emma had never found out, would I have confessed? I want to say yes, but the truth is probably no. I'd convinced myself I was protecting her by not telling her, but I was really just protecting myself. Do I deserve to be loved again after what I did? That's the question that keeps me up at night. I've done the work. I've changed. I understand my patterns now. But does that erase what I did? Does growth equal redemption? I don't know. Maybe some things are unforgivable. Maybe this is one of them. What I do know is this. I'm not the same person who started seeing Jake while dating Emma. That person was selfish, cowardly, and dishonest. The person I am now? I'd like to think I'm better, more self-aware, more capable of real honesty. But the fact remains, I was capable of that level of deception once. And that doesn't just go away because I went to therapy or because I've apologized or because time has passed. It's part of my history now, part of who I am. So where am I now? 2 years after everything imploded, I'm single, deliberately, intentionally, because I'm still not ready to be in a relationship. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious, and I'm upfront about my past now. Not on the first date, that would be too much. But once things start getting more serious, I tell them. The whole story, every ugly detail. Most people walk away after hearing it, and I don't blame them. Who wants to sign up for that baggage? But a few have stayed, have said, that was then. People change. I appreciate your honesty. Those conversations give me hope. Not that I'll find someone new. That's not the point right now. But hope that I'm not permanently broken. That growth is possible. That I can become someone capable of real, honest love. I still think about Emma and Jake. Probably more than I should. I wonder if they think about me, if they've forgiven me, if they've moved on completely, or if I still cross their minds occasionally. I hope they've moved on. I hope they've found what they were looking for, what they deserved all along. As for me, I'm taking it one day at a time, working on myself, learning to be alone without being lonely, learning to be whole on my own so that the next time I'm with someone, I'm choosing them because I want to, not because I need them to fill a void. I don't know if I'll ever have another serious relationship. I don't know if anyone will ever trust me enough after hearing my story, but I'm okay with that uncertainty now, because I'm finally learning to be okay with myself. So why did I tell you all of this? Why air my worst moments, my biggest mistakes, my deepest shame? Because I see so many people romanticizing this kind of situation online, making it seem exciting or complicated or justified, acting like loving two people at once is some beautiful, tortured thing. But it's not. It's destructive. It's selfish. And it leaves wreckage in its wake. If you're the person living a double life, please hear me. You're not special. Your situation isn't different. You're not the first person to fall for someone while in a relationship, but you are choosing to lie. Every single day you're making that choice. And one day, it will all come crashing down. It always does. The truth always comes out. And when it does, you won't just lose the people you claimed to love. You'll lose yourself in the process. If you're the person being lied to, trust your gut. If something feels off,